Hey everyone, Tyler Stark here with Power RC. Today's video is going to be on swapping out the connectors on any sort of battery. So the first step you want to do is just cutting one of the wires coming off your battery. Be careful to only do one at a time because if you try to cut both, you're going to end up shocking yourself. After you've done that, make sure to strip your wire. Check the wire and see if it says the gauge on it so you can be precise and not cut any of the actual wire when you're stripping it. If not, just do your best guess and don't take off too much because we want the shrink tube to cover all the exposed wire. So after you've stripped your wire, I twist it a little bit just so none of the individual wires come loose when tinning it. After you've done that, find a place to hold your wire or have someone hold it for you if you don't have one of these little clippy things. Once you get your wire in there, the basic strategy is we're just going to heat it up with our soldering iron or soldering gun until it's hot enough for the solder to melt in it. So it'll take a few seconds depending on how hot your iron is. Alright, so once it starts melting, you just want to put on a pretty good amount. You can't really have too much solder on the wire, but you don't have to overdo it. The next step is putting the shrink tube on the wire before you solder it onto the connector. I don't show it at this part of the video, but make sure you do that. Now we're going to tin the actual connector itself. So same thing with the wire. You just heat it up and put on a good amount of solder. Depending on your connector, either the positive or negative is going to go on a different spot, but for Dean's, the negative wire goes where I'm putting it. And like I said, make sure you have the shrink tube already on before you do this, otherwise you're going to have to remove it. So all you do is you heat up the Dean's connector until it starts to melt, and you'll see both the solder on the connector itself and the solder on the wire melt. And once that happens, just remove the soldering iron, let it cool, and as you can see, you'll make a good solid connection. So that's a really solid connection. That's what you want to aim for. After that, just pull up the wire, or the shrink tube, and you're going to shrink it with your heat gun. Make sure you get like 360 degrees around it so it's tight all around. For doing the other wires, it's the exact same concept. Like I said, don't forget to get the shrink tube on there before you solder it together, and I'm just going to let this play through. You don't really need me telling you to do the same thing over again. Alright, that's what your battery should look like when you're all done. If you have any questions about this video or comments, suggestions for future videos, put them in the comments below and we'll definitely look at them. We'd also like to thank our sponsors BP Hobbies for making all these videos possible, so go check them out.